And another good question is like, what does it say about me this person did this? Because the self inquiry about what does it say about me that my mom didn't come and help me when I was crying. Even at that age, somehow I made up a subconscious belief that I don't matter, that I'm not worth picking up. Yeah. And then I carried that through my life. And then I was desperate for love from all these people. It just, that's how ego proof plays itself out. See, told you you're unworthy, told you you're not
Right.
wanted. And looking at my mom too is, she, and maybe this is true about your mom, it wasn't personal to you, whatever happened. It was about whatever pain she's experienced and she's blocked and can't give it to you.
Right.
It it doesn't mean anything about you though. It really doesn't. Like when I can't see it for myself, Eric, I can see it in my grandchildren. They are just such innocent, joyful beings, right? Now the ego's entered. I see the ego too now, but before 8 months, they're it's so cool to see. They don't know they have a hand, they don't know they have a head, they don't know they're not identified with any of that, right? It's so cool to watch, and then as soon as people start pointing out, "Oh, that's your finger, oh, that's your hand," and then they're all then they're like, "Oh, oh," and then you can see the ego like, "Come on," right? But anyway, going back, when I can't see it for myself, I can see it in an innocent dog or cat. I can see it in beautiful flowers. They don't need anything added to them, nothing needs to change. So why do I think that there's something wrong with me? Because my ego's told me that I'm separate. I'm outside of the hole somehow. I got outside of the hole, because my
Right.
mom mistreated me.
Um, there's two ways I think that we might subconsciously look at it. I got kicked out of the
Yeah.
hole, or worse, I voluntarily stepped out of the hole that I made
Mm,
myself an outcast. So, either way, we double down on the guilt. I did it to myself,
right.
or someone did it to me.
Right. And if you're really small, everybody can relate to this one. Your parent looks at you and goes, "You made me so angry for misbehaving." What are they saying? You're responsible for how I feel.
Right.
You're representing what I am. You're embarrassing me. And what do you do with that? Feel responsible for someone's happiness and unhappiness.
And
That's a big
we
belief too.
it is, and we carry it with us for life until
Yeah.
hopefully, and I guess if I could offer a wish or a blessing upon everyone, that we would all have that moment of awakening when we realize
Mm,
I no longer have to carry that with me. It wasn't my fault, and it wasn't their fault. Because as you've pointed out lovingly throughout this conversation, they were suffering.
mhm.
They stepped out of the hole as well. They forgot
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. 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 That amnesia we have. It's just, I wish everyone, I'm sure you've recently heard, or maybe you haven't, this guy that stepped up and did this near death experience. If you ever watch them, they're really cool. But this guy recently that did one, um, if everyone could have that experience that he had, or the awakening, or whatever, whatever um, experience brings you to that wondrous feeling of always being complete. Um, I wish it on everyone because I've had I mean, I am not going to sit here and tell you that I feel like this constantly. I hit speed bumps, but I know what to do. There's directions. It's all through
Right.
the course. I'm so grateful for that because I suffered for a really long time in my life. I really did. I was struggling really hard.
Um, I mentioned that yesterday that, you know, I'm not healed. I'm healing.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's huge. And
Right.
I'm so happy that I'm healing. Um,
Mhm.
and you know, I will be healed, but I don't know when that's going to be. It's
Right.
not a goal. My goal isn't to uh, be healed. My goal is to keep healing and to
Right.
offer that healing to others as often as I can, as often as I can remember. And I offer that healing through forgiveness, through kindness, through just letting other people. Um, Ram Dass said we're all here walking each other home, and
Yes.
I'd
Yes.
like the thought of how about we just let each other off the hook.
Mm, yeah. Right. Yeah, because if I let you off the hook, then I let me off the hook too.
Right.
I'm actually on the hook because I'm the one that's holding you on a hook. So it just doesn't feel at the time. It's like the old ego's like, nope, I'm right. I'm right. I am right. I want to stay right. And if I let somebody off the hook, that means that they're going to keep doing harmful things. That's what I used to believe. I used to also believe that by giving, I'm going to lose, but it's not true. By giving, I receive, and it does say it. It says it in the Bible, even. But I never believed it until I experienced it.
Lisa, could you touch upon that a little deeper about if you let someone off the hook? Because that is still I believe, the hardest thing about forgiveness to get across. That we're not letting people off the hook physically. That's not what when we talk about forgiveness, we're talking about something much, much different and deeper.
Right. Well, the reason, well, I'll try and do the best I can with that one. It's when I'm letting somebody off the hook, I'm actually not, it's not my job to let anyone off the hook. I am not God, right? But what I am letting off the hook is my grievance about that person. Um, and so, for example, letting my mom off the hook, how it came to me was I saw it sitting with her at the end of her life. She was looking like this in the distance, and she wasn't dying at the moment, but she was close. She was like a month away. I saw this. We looked in each other's eyes, and I just saw nothing but love. And I made a decision that I wanted to let this terrible childhood go because I didn't want to let her go out of this world not saying anything to each other. I just, something just propelled me to do it. And letting her off the hook for everything she did meant, believe it or not, it meant that I'm not a victim of what I thought I was a victim of. It just, stuff happened. And I wanted to be free. That's what it means to let someone else off the hook because I'm the one holding it. You know, whatever their lessons are, like the course, this is a curriculum, right? And you said the script is written, and I know that came from somebody, and I can't remember who. But if the script's written, how do we know, like, that we didn't all decide? Like, I saw this little clip one time called the little sun and the little soul. Have you heard of that? These
It
2
sounds familiar.
souls were sitting, they're sitting, Walsh wrote it for children, Donald Walsh or somebody. These souls are sitting waiting to come down to the planet, and one says to him, "I can't wait to go down there. I'm gonna forgive everyone. I'm gonna be so full of joy. I'm gonna be happy." And the other soul's like, "Well, I'm gonna be playing your enemy. And I don't really want to, but I that's my job." "Well, I don't care. Oh, I won't forget. I'll remember." How do we know that that's not what really happened? What if we agreed with these people before we came? I mean, it's just a story, right? And it may or may not be true. What if we had an agreement with somewhere that we decided we were going to learn these lessons? Well, don't I want to be like, if that was true, then I'd want to be open to whatever's happening and see it anew, see it differently. So that's my whole thing of letting someone off the hook. Because first of all, I'm not God. I don't know what their lessons are, but my lessons are, I must have, because my childhood was so traumatic and I left at such a young age. I know that somewhere I agreed with myself or God or somebody. I was determined. I've always been determined. Even when I was reading the course and couldn't understand it, I was determined. I wanted peace more than this. So I don't know if that helped or it answered it or not, but that's the
It did.
reason I do it because I'm not letting anyone off the hook. I'm letting myself off the hook.
Um, Lisa, we had a question.
Yeah.
Uh, what to do when it is mid happening and serious? That I have so much trouble. That's what she has so much trouble with. So when our big lesson, when we're in the midst of it, and
Yeah.
it's serious, what do we do then?
Oh, that's a really great question. And I was stuck with that one not too long ago. So when I went through a divorce, my husband got real. I call him my husband, but he got very nasty. He did not want the divorce. And a few years went by, and then I thought, well, maybe we could heal together. And I won't go too into a story so I can answer the question. I got this brilliant idea. We could heal together. He could do choose again with me, maybe do the course with me. He didn't want to do any of that stuff. He just wanted to go back to the way we were, which I was not willing to do. I was a big enabler, and we won't go into that story. So he got nasty again, really freaking nasty. And I was really into the course. I was in the middle of choose again, starting choose again. And I had to, for my own sanity, so that I wouldn't get hijacked by it, because he was saying terrible, nasty things that were not nice. Some of them may be true. I don't know, but I couldn't handle it. I blocked him until I was at peace. Because the course says, you know, until I'm at peace, I don't want to respond. And this comes from 12 steps. Pause when agitated. So I had to put a big boundary up for a really long time. I kept working with forgiveness in my mind, but that didn't mean I was going to be engaged with him, because he wasn't at a place where he could stop his behavior. He was very, very mad. So now we are friends. We don't go and hang together much, because I don't want to have the idea that we're going to work something out. He doesn't want to do this work, and that's fine. But I would want him to be somebody that he's not in order to be together. And that's not fair. I want him to be somebody that he's not. So that's my taking responsibility, always looking at what I can do differently. And so when I'm in the middle of something, sometimes I have to put up a boundary until I do my own healing. And when I'm at peace, then I can go to that person if I need to.
That was an awesome answer. And I think it clears up so much because when we talk about forgiveness, a lot of times uh, people arrive to the mistaken belief that we need to suffer. We need to suffer for our forgiveness,
Hmm.
but we're never asked to suffer.
Right. Yeah, no, it doesn't ask that. And that's what a lot of people think forgiveness is. And that's why I stayed away from it, was because I thought, some of the concepts that I had about the course, it's asking me to sacrifice myself at the expense of whatever terrible thing that's going on. It's not asking that. It's asking me to be at peace with myself and then address the situation if there's something to address.
Um,
And believe it or not, I'll say one last thing to that whole thing. I did make amends to my ex, even though he was being nasty. There were some things I needed to look at in myself, and made my amends. And I'm not going to go over what those were, but I felt free after I made the amends of the areas that I didn't see that I was doing certain things that were maybe not the best thing to do. And so I got free of my own guilt of what I could do differently.
um, and it does show that we can put up those boundaries and still do our forgiveness work at the very same
Yes.
time. The two aren't mutually exclusive.
Exactly. And he was hurting. He did not understand, and that's how I saw it. Oh, he's hurting. So I'd mentally send love. What's that old saying? Hurt people hurt people.
Right,
I
right.
mean, when I was really young, I was a hurt person, and I was doing things that were not considered what I would call something that I'm proud to share. Like I had my own ways of getting around in this world at a very young age that I'm not proud to say. So have I ever hurt people? Yeah. I don't do that now. I pause when agitated. I try and do the best I can of not having to go back. And if I do something that's out of line, I go back and repair it. You know what? That was wrong of me. I'm asking your forgiveness. I believe in that. I do. Because I don't think that just pretending it didn't happen is very responsible.
Right. Hey, I think one of the most beautiful things from AA is, or the 12 steps, is making amends.
Right. Repairing.
Right.
Yep. I did that
Um,
with my children and other things that I did wrong when I was under the influence. So, yeah,
what a great act of courage that is.
it's scary because you can be rejected, but who doesn't matter.
right. Um, well, your conversation has really, in a beautiful way. I'm looking at the chat. And so many beautiful comments, so many open and raw comments, people
Oh,
sharing their
cool.
stories. Um, that doesn't happen often. I always have um, great people in the chat, but to see everyone just sharing their own pain and their story, um,
Oh.
it's just amazing.
Mm. Aw, that makes my heart sore.
Um, and a friend, Gil's Press says, Lisa, thank you for today.
Aw, thank you. And thank Holy Spirit, because I really did call on Holy Spirit and tried to keep the octopus of self off. Because one of the things that I'll close with today, if we're closing, is that when I'm living in superior or inferior, I'm living in false self. And so what I ask Holy Spirit to help me do is live in the middle of those two. Like, don't be superior. I'm not a superior and I'm not inferior. I'm neither one of those. But the truth is, like when you asked me to do this, I was like, subconsciously, well, how can I look my best on there? And that's the octopus of self I'm talking about. So I tried my best to listen to what Holy Spirit would want me to say.
Um,
So I'm glad I can be truly helpful to somebody out there.
I was just mentioning that. That was the prayer we started with, and as we wrap things up, 90 plus minutes in uh, an extremely joyful and, for me,
Yeah.
um, a personally insightful conversation
Mm.
that I feel like I just received so much. I always,
Oh, I did too from you. So thank you.
I always mention that um, a lot of this is purely selfish. I love I love bringing up guests to have a conversation for everyone in the live stream, but
Hmm.
I know when I get someone like you up here to have a conversation with, I'm going to be different. At the end of this conversation, I'm going to be changed. That I'm going to receive light. I'm going to receive insight, and I will not be the same. However subtle it might appear, I will know it. And this has certainly been the case. So we started with uh, that great prayer. And I think that we can
Hmm.
end this conversation knowing that, Lisa, you were indeed truly helpful.
Oh, well, I'm very happy, and you are too. And I can see when I've watched a few of your videos, and I can see you just have this sense of uh, openness, willingness, and humbleness.
Oh, well, thank you for that.
And so I learn from people that are humble because, like I said, when we're coming from inferior or superior, it's not the true self. The true self is playful, joyful, humble, willing to admit mistakes, those kinds of things. So I see that in you, and I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you, my friend. Remind me to buy our friend James a big cup of coffee for for setting this conversation up between us.
Oh yeah, yeah, you bet.
Um,
I
he's
really
supposed to come
appreciate
up.
it too.
He's supposed to come up sometime soon as well when he gets his. I know he's putting finishing touches on, I believe, two books.
Yes. Yeah, I can't wait to read them. Have you read his books?
I have. I have the Gospel of
Yeah.
Astonishment on my back shelf over there. I just did a little review of it.
Uh-huh.
Um, I
Yeah.
I told James it was like reading the course um, from someone who wasn't trying to teach the course, but literally had that realization and put it out there. It kept
Mhm.
saying over and over again. The first six times I read it, that
Uh-huh.
this is the Holy Spirit talking right here.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's been on the course that long. I think it's been maybe a few years now, but you know, I met his teacher in person. That's how it all started. Was his teacher was in town here in Bend. and he saw A Course in Miracles, and it was like around pre-COVID or something. And anyways, I didn't know what the heck I was doing back then. But anyway, he was the one who pointed me towards, think you need to do some medicine. I'm like, medicine? Anyways, there was nothing available for 4 years. And then 4 years later, it all showed up. It was like, wow. But I had the best guides. If I wasn't in their safe presence, I don't know that I could have done it, because it's like jumping out of a plane with a parachute on that particular one. And
Right. I've heard
yeah.
that analogy
So
before
anyway,
with the realization that it really is like the bad news is you're jumping out of an airplane. The worst news is you don't have a parachute. The good news is there is no ground.
yes. See, heart just heard that one.
Right. Right.
Love it.
Um, hey, Lisa, do you
Yeah.
think you'd be up for another conversation sometime?
Oh, I would love that. That would be wonderful. I feel honored if you'd ask me for another one sometime,
Um,
for sure.
and with that, we'll wrap things up. I just want to give you another big, big thank
Okay.
you. Um,
Oh, thank you.
was a wonderful conversation, and you mentioned Bill Free and Lisa Natoli.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Lisa was an early guest of mine as well, and I had such a
Okay.
great conversation. Um, one of my first people that I talked with was um, uh, Vicky Poppy, who
Oh, yeah, I've heard a lot about her. Mhm.
to me she's the heart and soul of the course community. Uh, I,
Wow.
she sent me right after our conversation. She sent me a text and said along the lines of, "Thank you for finally saying yes to the Holy Spirit."
Wow. That's
Um,
awesome.
and she asked Lisa to come up and have a conversation with me, and it was a wonderful
Okay.
conversation. And afterwards, Lisa said, "Hey, could you make some clips, some shorts and stuff of our conversation?" And I immediately said, "I'd love to, but I can't. I don't know how." She thanked me, and afterwards, I thought about it, and I had this inner prompt, and I asked myself, "Do I not know how, or have I never tried?" The truth is, I never tried. I
Mm.
don't like technology, so I just assumed I didn't know how to do it. But I dove in. I made a bunch of clips, sent them to Lisa, and she thanked me. And then she sent me a text and said, you only said yes partially to what you requested to do.
Oh.
Um, because not everyone's going to watch an hour and 43 minutes of uh, Eric and Lisa having a conversation.
Yeah.
But someone's going to find a 30-second or minute or 3-minute clip of Lisa saying, I put the drink down, or this is
Mm,
how to forgive. And they're going to have a drink in their
mm,
hand and they're going to put the drink down, or they're going to feel like they can't forgive someone and they're going to hear you say this and they're going to forgive. They're going to, and
mhm.
Lisa said, it's that. It's people finding just what they need through what you and I are
Yes.
doing. That's
Right.
what counts.
That's beautiful.
So
Absolutely.
the fact that you came up
Well,
here
I
and
wanna thank you. Yeah, yeah, can I thank you? I just wanna
yes,
thank you for your service, because this is a service. You're giving away. You're demonstrating what giving is. So thank you for your service.
thank you. I like to think of this as Course Miracles in the trenches. This this is where I get
Yes.
to practice.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Um, Thank you again, my friend.
Thank you.